What's an odd thing you've caught someone doing? A student jerking off in my middle school library. He was sitting cross-legged on the ground, with the book covering his lap, with both hands under the book, and the book was bouncing up and down, vigorously. I caught a Subway employee masturbating in the bathroom. He looked at me and said that door was supposed to be locked. His clothes were folded immaculately with his watch on top, almost like it was part of his ritual. I was at a local bookstore when I saw a guy pick up a book, flip to a random page in the middle, and lick the page. He then proceeded to do this several more times on other books in the store. It seemed to me that the employees knew this guy was doing this but that they didn't want to stop it. It also appeared that this guy might have had a slight mental handicap based on his facial features. The weirdest thing to me though was that it seemed like his dad was following him around the store watching him lick all these books. That made it seem like this was standard behavior for this guy and the dad was just supervising his serial book licking. I once watched a man in Waterstones just sniffing all the books. He was doing it for ages, and when someone would come near he'd pretend to read them. Sometimes he'd do that thing where you flick all the pages with your thumb, then breath in deep. In hindsight, I was pretty weird for watching him, but it made me giggle so frick it. Co-worker at my first job changing urinal cakes with his bare hands. Not really a big deal. Wash your hands afterwards and don't scratch your eye. I saw an actual sorority pillow fight once. Guys, it does happen, but it's more like Lord of the Flies than any pee you've seen. When I was 16 I was working a minor league baseball team's parking lot as part of a fundraiser for my senior trip. At one point I had to go to the bathroom so I walked to a nearby gas station, a real small one. I walk in and ask the cashier if they have a restroom I could use. They did but it was locked. She gave me the key and they told me to lock it after. I walked out and saw a purple bike just outside the bathroom door. So I knocked first. Nothing. I opened the door a crack and waited a moment. If someone didn't hear my knocking they would notice the door and call out, right? Well, no response on the other side of the door. I open it fully. A completely naked old man standing there smiling at the door and at me. I quickly closed the door and went to the cashier. They keep the door locked and I had the key so I figured she would like to know about the old man currently in their bathroom. She asked was there a purple bike outside the door? Yes. 1 second. Let me call the police. I wish I could have stayed to find out more but I really had to pee and get back to the fundraiser. So I pee in nearby bushes next to a busy street. Something is really creepy about this, yet also funny. Freaking her bedpost. I go to a school with many different class choices, some vocational and the standard social studies. I'm at the social studies. We're one class of 30 students, and we pretty much have our own bathroom. A couple of months ago we had a test. I had to use the toilet, so I made my way to it. And because there's not any urinals, I have to use the stalls. I open the stall I always go to and as I open it I see a guy crouching down on the toilet. He gives me a look of regret, sadness, and I quickly realize he's been taking a massive crap on the toilet seat. He stands up and says, "No more toilet paper," and dashes for the exit. Whenever I see this guy in the cafeteria he avoid my looks. Never told anyone what I saw, even though the entire school know that someone took a crap on top of the toilet. He didn't wipe. Had to escort a student out of a classroom yesterday. The class was going some sort of presentation of pop music artists. I walked in and saw a sophomore boy wearing nothing but a bra filled with oranges and a sequenced Speedo lip syncing to Wrecking Ball in front of a whole class. Dang, kid went hard on that presentation. Had a paper round when I was about 16. The last drop was a farmhouse at the end of a long private drive. I went through the gate and saw the owner was feeding his chickens. At least that's how it looked from behind. He heard me and turned around. He was jacking off over his chickens. A grown man using a urinal with his pants and underwear all the way down. Serious? That's some CEO crap right there. Little kid crapping in the urinals. I used to have a co-worker in an office job who used to bite his nails and the hard pieces of skin next to your nails. He would make a small pile on his desk, and when it got big enough he would lick his finger and dip it in the pile and then lick his finger clean, just like he was eating a package of Fun Dip. Putting bananas in the dairy aisle. A bunch of bananas doesn't go there. B. The audacity of some people. Nothing too bad, just funny. Driving one rainy day and I hear from the back, very faintly, one peeing only in a pretty decent Sean Connery imitation. Then every few seconds he'd make a slight submarine ping. He did this for miles just staring out the window. Then he looked in the rear view, saw me and the magic was gone and put his headphones on. I love those little father-son moments. I bet you those pings lined up with objects you were passing. At least he was keeping your Submariner safe. There was a kid that used to be known around the neighborhood for riding his bike without hands. He could ride in any terrain, off of ledges, over smaller obstacles. It didn't matter, he rode with no hands. Well, one day I'm in the front yard shooting cardboard with an airsoft gun, and I see him pedaling his bike with his hands with his chest rested on the seat and his legs in the air. None of my friends believed me. That kid must have had the balance of a god. Please tell me he's walking tightropes between skyscrapers and canyons now. A bunch of us passed out in our friend's house after a party and a buddy of mine thought everyone was passed out and just started jacking it on the couch trying to be wicked sneaky about it. I mean, dude, the bathroom is in the other room. Sat behind a guy on the bus once watching a succession different dog pee videos. Pretty such he was aware I could see but he gave zero fricks. Once went to the gym listening to blurred lines on my phone on YouTube. I had forgotten about the naked girls all over the video. During a lull in the song, I heard a guy speak in a low tone to his friend and say, "Dude, that chick's watching pee." I was really confused for a full minute. My now wife caught me peeing in the sink while I brushed my teeth one morning. I've never lived it down. It's good to know I'm not alone. I'm by no means sorry I did it, and it does still happen. It's just too convenient. I'm only sorry I got caught. If I ever get caught, I'm done. I took too much MDMA once and couldn't sleep at all while staying over at a friend's house. I was sitting on her balcony drawing pictures around 4 AM when a man jogs around the corner, drops his pants and just takes a crap in the parking lot across the street. The thing that I'll never forget was how furtive he looked. It felt like he was running from zombies, but had decided to poop anyway, but was terrified. Whole thing made me feel paranoid and weird for the rest of my time with Molly. I saw someone taking a shower in a fountain once in the middle of Rome. That's normal. My mother penetrating my father anally, oh god, cannot be unseen. At least they didn't know I saw them. A guy I lived with in college used to pleasure himself with cooking oil. He was very Jesus-y, so we thought he was very conservative and modest. One night I came into our den to get my water bottle and he was there, wrapped in just a towel, with a bottle of open canola oil on the table. I guess he was hoping to benefit from its non-stick properties. I always wondered why my mate had sunflower oil in his room. Caught my daughter yelling out "Go to the new house" at my dog. Confused to this day. I used to have a kid in my 4th grade class who had a shaved military style head. He would pick at his head until a little hair was picked off and he'd then place it on his tongue and eat it. My adult boyfriend puts long, rouge beard hairs into his mouth and chews on them, while they are also attached to his face. I was getting my 3-year-old son ready for his bath and told him to go in his room and put his clothes in the hamper. He was taking a long time, so I went to check on him. He was parading around the room with his pants on his head, buck naked otherwise. He was not happy to be caught. Actually, I think he was not happy. I couldn't stop laughing. Someone cutting themselves on a plane. Good thing it wasn't an angle. In my primary school, 2 boys were tossing each other off in class. Bros before hoes. I walked into my kitchen and saw my roommate in his underwear with his dong through the hole jiggling all about. Wet noodle fight. Autofellatio. My dad has the bad habit of not locking the door when he's using the bathroom. Walking in on him crapping is almost a weekly treat. Some relevant information. He's 60, ex-Catholic priest. He's got a belly and man boobs, but he's not really fat otherwise. Anyway, my ordeal only lasted for 1 or 2 seconds, but it was enough to burn this image on my retina for the rest of my life. He was posing, underwear only, in front of the mirror with one hand behind his head and one hand. Jesus Christ. With the other hand he was holding his freaking hairy tit in an attempt to lick it. To lick the nipple, that is. Judging by the grunts he was really determined to achieve, whatever that was. I decided not to question what I saw. God works in mysterious ways. My brother twerking on a Barbie doll. Had multiple friends walk in on friend masturbating and he would not miss a beat. Just kept beating his meat. Drunkenly stumbling upon a girl giving some doodah is a little weird. Would always catch my ex-wife scratching her butt down her pants then smelling her fingers. Truly disturbing. She's just making sure it's ready for you. Walked into the bathroom at work to see some guy with his pants at his feet, bent over the sink masturbating. Was a very awkward thing to see. I work in retail. We once caught a kid lining up Britney Spears CDs in the electronics department, which isn't too odd, but then he started jacking off into his pants. He didn't get to finish on account of being kicked out of the store. Co-worker standing in the middle of the restroom flying his brown eye. He was applying hemorrhoid cream, and visible from the hallway. I was at a party once and came outside with a girl because she wanted a cigarette. As we walked outside I saw my buddy, who was absolutely crap-faced, standing there in the driveway only in his whitey tighties and a t-shirt and a raging donut trying to convince a girl in the driveway to give him a blowjob. She was basically sober and was politely declining and he was just begging her to do it. Finally she and her friends left and he was left moping around the party with a boner. Still not wearing pants or shoes, and no one to take care of it. Eventually he locked himself in the host's bedroom, watched some pee and jacked it, and passed out in his bed. Tragic. I walked into my high school public bathroom to see some kid with a big Olay smile across his face, with crap in his extended right hand, staring at his masterpiece smeared on the mirror. It was a stick figure holding crap. I noped out so quick. Then a moment after I walked out I saw someone else walk in and yell, "What the frick, Gary, this is not what I meant." I still wonder what that kid told Gary. I do door-to-door sales. Pulled into a driveway and saw what we thought was a goat with his head stuck in a fence. Turns out there was a farmer, balls deep, pinning him against the fence. Drove away as fast as I could. Well, that's one way to get rid of solicitors. One day I'm at a traffic light making a left turn, so I'm in the left-hand lane. The lane next to me, the lane going straight. To my right is a guy in a car and he has no shirt on. He's an older guy. Anyway, I see in the corner of my eye he is waving to get my attention. So I'll look over and he has a pot and holds it up. A pot that would cook on your stove, right? He then proceeds to dump its contents onto his lap. Steaming hot oatmeal, I think. The light turned green and he just looked ahead and went on driving. Strangest thing that comes to mind. Last weekend me and two friends were going into one of their rooms, which is a triple, to play a few drunk rounds of NHL. Upon opening the door, we quickly realized that one of my friend's roommates was sitting in his bed, nude, but under the covers. He looked at us and said, "Give me 5 minutes, guys." At first we assumed he was whacking it, but then he looked at me and waved saying, "Hey, what's up, Grizzladams 95," and as he did this he slightly raised his sheet by accident and exposed a woman's bobbing head. Needless to say, we peeked the frick out of there. I mean, good for him, I guess. I walked into the kitchen and my 18-year-old brother had his eyes closed, leaning against the counter, furiously masturbating with a microwave banana peel. I walked in on an ex in his room, BF at the time. The door wasn't closed all the way and I could hear something kind of weird noise. I peeked in and found him jerking off to a picture on his laptop. The picture was of me, so I was kind of flattered. What threw me off was the pair of panties he had over his head that sure as heck were not mine. At this point he notices me standing there. That awkward moment where everybody is just like frick. So the first thing I do is ask him whose panties they were. "Aren't they yours?" I pulled them out of the dryer. "Nope, not mine. His little sister's." He was sniffing his prepubescent sister's panties. I laughed. He cried. I thought it was hilarious. Picture the scene. Someone squatted, but not all the way down. Perhaps a little ways up from all the way down. This isn't a toilet thing. They're fully clothed. They have their back to you, so you can't really see what they're doing. They seem to be moving their hands alternately up and down as if scrabbling or exaggeratedly typing. There is the rustling of a plastic bag. This is how my sister and I once found our dad, who was doing. We have no idea what he was doing over the waste bucket in the kitchen. We have asked him about it since and he doesn't remember. You have been visited by the IT lizard. Upvote or experience bad internet for a month. Like and subscribe, you magnificent person.